Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the Royals, the Republican National Convention, and Jerry Falwell Jr. Our user feedback is from someone who listens to us with her best friend, and we end with our weekly feature, the Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 65. We recorded this episode on Thursday before we heard that Chadwick Boseman passed away at just 43. We're so sad that we lost him, and we're thinking of his friends and his family. Hi, my voice is all messed up. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra. I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
My voice is not terrible, but it's kind of froggy. So I'm trying to
Do you have a fever? Are you still testing positive for strep or what?
Oh my God, you're so caring. Rude.
I didn't mean it well, you haven't said anything about it. I just figured, she's on antibiotics. It's fine.
I am on antibiotics. I just got a couple more days to go. I had to switch them because the last ones were keeping me up. But, I'm fine. It's just, I'm like, I don't have a fever. I'm fine.
I've had strep a few times, and it just sucks for a few days, and then you get medicine. And I don't know. It just feels fine pretty quickly, I find.
I feel okay. I just can't talk straight. I have a little funny voice. But I've been doing my normal things. I started a new thing. I've been walking, and that sounds so basic, but I really like it. I never really bothered walking before. I just exercise.
I've always been a huge walker, and I love it. And it's very meditative. It feels like the perfect way to decompress.
Yeah, it's nice. I needed to get out of my house because I would exercise, but I would just force myself to do stuff really hard, and it was kind of punishing. But when you walk, you just okay, I can only walk so fast, and it's nice, and you see stuff. So yeah, getting me out of the house too.
I'd love to walk on a treadmill, but since the pandemic, I've started walking outside more often.
Yeah.
It's been hard with the heat, but I'm going to take a walk later on.
Yeah, it's been cooling down lately, though. I think that's why I started now, later on in the summer when it's not
It'll be nice
sweltering.
In the fall.
Yeah, the fall will be nice. It's
I know, dueling sighs. But I've been depressed at how dark it's been getting earlier and earlier.
Oh, I like that, because then I could go to bed and I don't feel guilty.
No, there's something so pleasing to me about going to bed when it's still a little bit light out. I love that.
Oh, I feel bad. I like it when it's darker to sleep. But yeah, I don't care. I feel like I'm getting enough sun. You have been watching tennis? I've been seeing your tweets on tennis. I don't know what the hell you're talking about most of the time, but it seems like you're having a good time.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the tournament that's been happening this week that we're recording, which is the Cincinnati in New York tournament, the Western and Southern.
Okay.
Andy Murray was playing, and I love him so much, and he beat a top player, and that was really exciting because he's got a metal hip and he's an old man.
He's an old man. He's younger than us.
He is. He's very grumpy, and he acts like he's about 50 years old most of the time. And Serena was playing, and she had one really hard match that she won, and then she just started playing really terribly in her second match. And so now everyone is oh God, she's not going to win her 24th slam. And that's really important to Serena fans, is that she gets to 24.
How come?
Because Margaret Court, who is an Australian legend of the game.
Okay.
She's won 24 slams technically, but she's a horrible person and a horrible homophobe. And she's just really nasty and terrible.
Oh, I remember you writing about her.
Yeah, everyone wants Serena to hold the record. If Serena gets to 24, she would technically be tied with Margaret Court, even though most of Court's record is pre-open era.
Okay.
Which is a whole other conversation. It's very complicated and very only tennis nerds care about it, but it's very important to the tennis nerds that like Margaret Court's got a false record and that Serena is the greatest of all time, and that's very important to all of us.
Okay, I'll root for her too. I always do, but
well, it's going to be hard to root for her at the US Open because she's not playing very well.
Uh-huh.
And that's all I'll say.
Okay. Maybe she'll turn it around. So we're going to take next week of the podcast off for Labor Day because Labor Day is the next Monday, so we'll be off. We're not releasing a podcast on Sunday, September 6th, but we will be back on the 13th. We might take one more week off in September because my son's dad is going to be visiting him. We'll keep you updated about it on the site and in the next podcast that comes out on the 13th.
Okay. If we take 2 weeks off, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing pretty well since we took all that time off at the beginning of the year for the last awards season in a while. I can't believe that was this year, but
I know. I was writing about the Oscar campaign for like an upcoming movie,
mm-hmm.
and I was like thinking about how cool it was that Parasite won, and I was like, holy shit, that was just February.
Yeah.
This year has seemed like
forever.
A decade long.
It's been forever. And it feels normal now, which is the most fucked up thing. Because it's like, yeah, I'm never going to see anybody, you know, when I do, I have to wear a mask and stand really far from them and kind of yell. It feels really weird, but normal.
Yeah, it does feel normal. Like, I think I've forgotten my mask at home one time this whole lockdown period. Like, I felt so bad about it. I was like, you know, I usually never forget my mask.
They're giving them to you at the front of the stores. But there's still douchebags in my town who aren't wearing masks. I stared one down the other day. He was staring back at me. I was like, oh God, please don't let him come over to me. But I gave him a nasty look. But it's like, that's how it goes.
Yeah. And that's the way the rest of the year is going to be, and probably well into 2021.
Shut your mouth. I mean, we're so lucky. We have a good job. We can talk about people. People do stupid shit, and there's celebrities doing stuff no matter what's happening, but it's still tough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the royals, I guess, because... So Meghan has been doing some general get out the vote appearances. She was on a When All Women Vote couch party that you covered last Friday, and you can tell she's trying not to be controversial, and she's just trying to lend her support to general and good causes. You know,
right.
She's working hard to be kind of royal adjacent. She's not ruffling feathers. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Like, I'm not unimpressed by her. I just don't understand what all of the excitement is in either direction. She's saying very basic things, and it's just people completely overreacting to her.
I think she's helping prove the point of finding freedom like so much, which is just that it doesn't matter what she does. We know how much she plans shit out. Everything she's been saying has been just like total middle of the road, not even political, and strong and thoughtful and articulate as she always is. And you can tell she really cares about this stuff, but she's not saying vote Biden. You know, she's saying vote. But the British royal commenters went batshit over that.
Yeah, completely. I was so surprised because you remember I covered that and like no one commented on that appearance, the When All Women Vote couch party thing. Like no one commented because all that she was saying was just really basic stuff.
Like, you should vote.
Yeah, it didn't seem particularly newsworthy or noteworthy. And then all of these old douches just had a complete fucking meltdown.
So Dan Wootten, we talked about him before. He is the one who is in the Cambridge camp, and he said she was actively campaigning against Donald Trump, because I guess when you tell people to vote, you're doing that, which Trump has shown by telling people not to vote, by trying to ruin the fucking post office. And he tweeted it was completely inappropriate, a massive diplomatic embarrassment, blah, blah, blah. There were other
people like Piers Morgan and some other assholes who said similar things. And it's like, what? Did you watch the same interview as us? Because she didn't say anything about who to vote for.
Right. But the whole point of their hissy fit was that she needs to be stripped of her titles. Like, that's the new punishment that they've thought up for her. Like, that they just sit around fantasizing about how to punish Meghan for being who she is, for just having general opinions about how people should vote.
Yeah.
For existing while being black. You know, and on and on. And they want her stripped of her titles because
that's outrageous.
She thinks people should vote.
Yeah. I don't know how she could be better at her job at showing how racist and asshole-ish these people are.
And just the pushback on Piers Morgan and Dan Wootten and all of the butthurt British people. I enjoyed a lot of the pushback. I thought everything just turned into such a major story. I was shocked to find that trending on Twitter that Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And like people had been arguing about it all friggin' night. She's American, quote unquote, was trending on Twitter because everyone was like, she's American. She's telling Americans to vote. What's the big fucking deal?
It's not a big deal. So after that, she was like, okay. But she had recorded this previous to that video. And she had a video with Gloria Steinem encouraging people to vote. And that was also just really nice. You know, they were sitting outside. Her dogs were there.
Those dogs were hot. That Pula was hot.
They were panting outside. Oh. She just said some nice stuff about voting. She said that she was excited to see Kamala Harris because of the representation. And that's real similar to what you were writing about Kamala, too, which is nice.
And she also said something about Harry being a feminist. Apparently, Harry introduced himself to Gloria Steinem and said, I'm a feminist.
That's cute.
I mean, he's talked about his feminism and he's talked about it for years, even before he met Meghan.
Yeah.
He really started to get more into women's rights and girls' rights before Meghan was even on the radar. And I think that's really cool, too, that he was already doing that work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure that there are people in Britain who will say, well, it was just Meghan. Meghan is making him a feminist.
Yeah, no, like she made him leave the royal family. But, yeah, and I like how they said feminism is human rights. You know, Black Lives Matter is human rights. This is not particularly controversial, but she's continuing to just do her thing, which is nice to see. And Omid Scobie, who wrote Finding Freedom, said on his AirPod podcast, he kind of elaborated a little bit on some of what was in Finding Freedom, which was that Kate was largely absent from everything. Like, she didn't try to befriend Meghan. But he also said that that was disappointing to Meghan, that Kate didn't reach out to her.
Yeah, that she would have really appreciated that extra support internally. And I think especially, you know, when Meghan was pregnant and all of them were just screaming endlessly about every little thing that she was doing and not doing. I think she probably would have appreciated Kate maybe calling her up and saying, you know, are you okay? This is rough. You're pregnant, you know?
Yeah.
And Kate didn't do that.
No, and that's basically what Omid said. And we think he's very gently and subtly revealing what he couldn't write in the book, maybe.
Yeah, he's being very, very careful. But I just think that the book was revealing in and of itself by Kate's larger absence.
Yeah.
She remained an enigma to Meghan specifically. Kate just wasn't around. She wasn't there to help Meghan. She wasn't there to advise Meghan. She saw Meghan as competition. She was jealous of the attention Meghan was getting.
From her husband and the press.
Yeah, I mean, and we knew that in real time by Kate's actions and the way that she was copying Meghan and the way she was just trying to steal press away from Meghan, you know?
Yeah.
And the way she cried because Meghan told her about the children not wearing tights. And, it was devastating.
If that's what happened. We've heard 5 different versions of that story. And there are more stories in Beginning Kate, which are just so transparent. What did you write that everybody loved? The yearly keening? What was that?
Oh, the annual keening.
The annual keening. So we hear about how keen Kate is to do something, and that becomes the thing itself rather than actually doing something. She's excited to possibly do it, and that's where it ends.
Yeah, it's just been happening since, roughly 2012. Like every fall and every spring, actually, we get the biannual keening, an announcement that this year, this summer, this spring, this fall, she's extra keen. She's really ready to hit the ground running. She's really ready to start being keen about something.
So in this article that you covered, Katie Nicholl, Kate's biographer, is quoted as saying, "We are seeing a queen in waiting. We are seeing the Duchess take on more duties, more royal engagements, more of a public profile than ever before." Are we looking at the same person? Because we did not see that. We see little bursts here and there and not much follow through. But,
Yeah, and she's barely worked this month. We're recording the last days of August. Kate is probably not going to have an event until mid-September, late September. So that's basically 2 months off. And yet the propaganda, the embiggening campaign just never ends. If Kate is gone for 2 months, she's just being a queen, a queen in training.
So the same author, Katie Nicholl, also wrote a shady article in Vanity Fair, like trashing Meghan for working, like saying that Meghan is doing these get out the vote videos so that she can increase her speaking fees or something. It made no sense. And so that they could pitch a TV show, which they're going to produce.
Like, I think Katie Nicholl was being shady in a really, strange way. Like, she made it sound like, Meghan and Harry, no one will buy their after-dinner speeches right now. So that's why Meghan is slumming it and just doing free speeches.
Okay. All right. Oh, and the point you made was that, she's decreasing her speaking fee by doing free speeches. So why would she do that? That just shows that she cares about these issues, right? Yeah, yeah.
The whole reason that she would get paid $1 million to make a speech is because it would be exclusive.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they do. They'll find something. Mm-hmm. So this week it's kind of been bad because we don't really watch them. We just see the clips on YouTube. But the Republican National Convention is happening and those people are just terrible. I turn off the sound. I have to take screenshots of their terrible faces to use them for our social media. And I turn off the sound when I take the pictures because I don't want to hear their yelling or their lies and racism. It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is. Don Trump Jr. has such a dopey fucking voice. I can go a very long time without ever hearing their voices. Like you, I'm actively avoiding listening to them.
Yeah.
So, whenever I do hear Jared Kushner or Don or Eric speak, I'm always like, oh, God, they sound horrible. Like, Jared Kushner is a very effeminate, snide little man. And Don seems like a coked-up loser. And Eric is just a dipshit.
They're all dumb. And Don's girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, was opening up the RNC by just yelling, just insane. And nobody was there to fucking hear her. Her mouth was
poked out of her skull
so
and
distorted.
Just screaming.
What are they on? And then Tiffany, she got new teeth and she could barely talk. She was like, and her makeup was so sparkly and overdone, raccoony. These people are, ugh.
All right, well, yeah, Tiffany got the Ivanka-style oversized veneers.
So horse teeth.
She was trying to speak like Ivanka, and so she was doing this lispy little baby voice, and it was horrible. Oh, but about the makeup, I remember reading this really great article in 2016 about that year's Republican National Convention. Mm-hmm. And they had all these really cool makeup artists, and they were mostly gay guys, and they were like, yeah, we don't want to do makeup for all these Republicans, but a gig's a gig, and we're gonna try to make them look as good as possible. I feel like all of those gay guys are like, fuck no, we're not doing that this year.
Oh, I thought you meant that at least somebody sabotaged her.
Well, maybe that is what happened. Maybe they were like, this year we're going to make everyone look like shit.
Yeah, it doesn't take much with those people. So, and then the side people that they had speak. All right, so there was a fake tweet. It wasn't a fake tweet. It was a joke that a comedian tweeted that Brock Turner was going to speak at the Republican National Convention, and everybody believed it for a little bit because they had the fucking couple who brandished guns at Black Lives Matter. They had the little dipshit 17-year-old who was mocking the Native American guy. It was bad. So they had some terrible people. And then they had this healthcare advocate who made this nonsensical statement about how Democrats were for a right to marijuana, opioids, and the right to die with dignity. Like there's anything wrong with any of those things. There is not. It's pain management and end of life care. I mean, what? Shit.
And I mean, yeah, it was just full on death cult. Yeah. That's all it was.
They're a death cult, yeah.
And it's so strange to me that we're like living in this absolutely fucking bonkers timeline. I mean, and I thought like the Bush years were bad. And
I did
now
too.
I would go back to the Bush years in a heartbeat.
I was walking around. I remember when Bush won the second time. I was walking around. I'm like, how are people acting normal? How is this normal? They lied to bring us into a war, and then he got reelected. And I thought that was the worst it could get. I really did. And I was a huge activist back then. And it was
not the worst. Oh my God. I mean, it is just.
Their lies were like quaint.
Yeah. It's insane to be this age and like living through this time period.
I hope that we get to see the other side of it. I hope our parents get to see the other side of it because I feel so bad for my mom because she's really having a hard time. But, you know, she's pretty good on Twitter telling everybody to fuck off. That's helping her a lot. So here's a segment from Zoom where we talked about the RNC. And this is Amira, Angelina, and Rhiannon.
I want to know how much coke and uppers were passed out before certain people.
Wow. Anytime any videos have been shared or come up, I'm like, I tried for maybe 10 seconds on Guilfoyle's speech, and I was like, I can't even. So thankfully, like your website linked tweets that kind of got the little highlight clips that are like 5 seconds long or whatever.
I can only do the 5 to 10 second snippets.
Yeah, and I was like, thank you, because that's all I need to know about how like raging coked out she was during the whole speech. And then apparently it was a trend throughout the whole process, or through all the speakers. So my best friend shared a really funny meme about like the headliners at the RNC, and one of them was the original COVID bat, and I thought that was so funny. Like it had all these like mixed D-list and like crazy stuff, but the original COVID bat was like, that was the best one. That cut me up so much, and that's pretty much what the headliners look like at the RNC. So.
And I'm purposely trying to stay away from it, but I think the one name on the list that really enraged me the most was Nick Sandman, that little shit kid from the school in Kentucky. And when I saw it, and I don't know why, I mean, the rest of them, I just kind of was like, okay, whatever, they're all trash. But seeing his name, I don't know why, I just had a really bad knee-jerk reaction to seeing that little kid's name on there. I mean, the couple from Missouri was bad enough, but I think they really hit a new low with this kid. And I think the whole convention is just nothing but a dog whistle, just a straight up dog whistle. They might as well just say it. You know, Black people are bad, brown people are bad. And if if we don't win, white people will be gone forever. And the whole thing is just sickening.
Yeah, Rhiannon nailed it. I mean, all their message is just racism and dog whistles. That's it.
Yeah. The couple from St. Louis, the Karens, whatever, the gun-toting assholes, their whole message was racism. That's all they were selling.
Yeah,
that's all they were there for. It was that Black people are going to come into your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you better have guns.
I'm sorry for laughing.
I mean, no, that was seriously their fucking message.
I know. They were talking about the plan to do rezoning, and like the path to home ownership is already so hard for Black people, and it's like I can't. So
yeah.
On Sunday, Jacob Blake was shot in the back 7 times by police as he left, and that was in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and now there's protests all over the U.S. because there's multiple video of that incident. And the cop who did it and other cops have been placed on administrative leave. Of course, they're not going to get fired.
They have not been charged with any crime.
No, they haven't been charged. They're still getting paid. You know,
And as soon as the chief of police from Kenosha spoke, I understood why they haven't been charged with anything, because the chief of police is a fucking douchebag and he's a racist.
He's a white supremacist and a MAGA. And so a 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who has been at Trump rallies, traveled from Illinois to Wisconsin with a gun. And he got into some kind of altercation with protesters, and he shot 3 people and killed 2. And cops let him walk away after that and go home.
Yeah.
But
And there
was
were
arrested.
people, there were white and black people saying, he just killed people. And the cops were like, do you need some water?
Yeah, I mean, surprised they didn't get him Burger King. So the Kenosha chief of police held a press conference, and you could tell he was on that murderer terrorist side. He said that Rittenhouse was trying to resolve a situation and that people were out after curfew. Like, that fucking justifies him shooting and killing people.
And Rittenhouse was out after curfew as well. So
Yeah, that makes no sense. I really think that if this happened a week ago, they would have had that kid on the Republican National Convention.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
That is their... I mean, this is what happens. Trump is encouraging terrorism.
And the way that Fox News and all of the conservative commentary is actively looking for a reason to support Rittenhouse is so disturbing, and it's so predictable too. Like the Tucker Carlson clip where he's just defending Rittenhouse as like a white vigilante instead of terrifying terrorist. It was just so predictable. Like, Tucker has done that a million fucking times already.
And people memorize his talking points, and I've heard them brought up in everyday conversation like it's fucking normal to talk like that.
Yeah.
He's despicable. So let's move on to a stupid story that is a little more interesting and fun, or disgusting. I don't know why it's fun. I don't want to say it like that. But
no, it is fun. I mean, because no one dies.
No one dies.
The Jerry Falwell Jr. story is fun because no one dies. And I'm sure Jerry Falwell Jr. is racist as hell, but like that's not what the story is about.
So Jerry Falwell Jr. used to be the president of Liberty University, which is this evangelical university that has very strict rules on what students can and cannot do. And, you know, they hold themselves up as this bastion of morality. So it came out that this 29-year-old man, Giancarlo Granda, said he had a relationship with the Falwells from 2012 to 2018. So they met him when he was a pool boy at the Fontainebleau in Miami. So he was 22 when they met him. And they tried to play it like Giancarlo had a relationship with the wife.
Becki Falwell.
Becki is her name.
Becki Falwell. Yeah, of course her name is Becki. Yeah, they tried to make it sound like Becki just had an affair with the pool boy and that it was just a misunderstanding. But like that, okay, they haven't talked about the fact that they were in business with the pool boy, that they were like joint property owners and like all this shady shit. It's very crazy, and I haven't read everything about it. The pool boy's version of events is that he screwed Becki while Jerry Jr. watched.
Yeah, he just watched from the corner. All right, we talked about this in Zoom, and people don't buy that this dude just watched. Oh, and Becki has since denied that Jerry liked to watch, but she did admit to having an affair. But here's a segment from Zoom where we talked about this, and this is Rhiannon, Zakia, Tanisha, Karen, and Courtney.
I'm always down for a really funny throuple story, but I think this is like the most throuple story I have ever heard, and I am here for it.
There is no way he just watched.
No,
he participated. Come on.
Yes.
I think the pool boy is bi.
Yes, and he threw his wife under the bus.
He did.
Thought that he would come out looking better, saying she had an affair. I forgave her. Mm-hmm. And now the pool boy is like, no.
Well, I love that he got receipts. I love that he was like, not only do I have pictures, I have texts and I have phone calls. And I'm like, Thank you for knowing the people you were getting into bed with, quite literally.
But it's funny that all these conservative Republicans are probably the biggest freak-a-leaks that are out there.
That's always true.
Yeah, and she's right. The conservative Republicans are the biggest freaks. As I was writing that story about, Jerry Jr. watching his wife get boned by the pool boy, I was like, this man is such a fucking freak. But it's probably turning him on that everyone knows about his freak addictions. Like, I mean, he's probably really hot, like, thinking about how, he's being outed right now. Oh, he's a freak.
How can you go that far with it? I don't even want to imagine it. It skeeves me out so bad. Whoa.
Well.
After I saw that photo of him with his gut hanging out, and it was like, whoa.
Well, and that was like the first real big deal. That got him suspended temporarily from Liberty University. The photo of him in the yacht with his arm around a girl and his gut hanging out. Oof. Yeah.
Well, remember when he made everybody go back to school in the spring and then all the kids were getting COVID and it was like, oops. And
yeah, I mean, the Falwells are idiots. Even though Jonathan Falwell is actually kind of a popular pastor, people really like Jonathan Falwell. But I know people who go to Thomas Road Baptist Church. I mean, that's the Falwells church. And they really have been feeling iffy about Jerry Jr. for a very long time.
Oh, so they probably knew about him.
Yeah, there have been rumors about how he's not quite right for years now.
All right, well, he says it's because it's an election year and he endorsed Trump. You're right. Let's move on to the user feedback. We got a nice text message from Sandra, who talks about us with her best friend, which was really sweet. She wrote, "My best friend and I love celebrity. We read your online articles and we listen to your podcast. After the podcast, we call each other and talk for hours. The cumulative, I know, right? The cumulative brain trust of your audience is wonderful. We love the comments on the articles. Thank you so much." That's nice. Thank you, Sandra, and your friend who is unnamed. So we also got a text message from Dog Obsessed Girl who says that our intro music is being used for a Brava kitchen appliance commercial. Those are like the little kitchen robots. I have iRobot. I think they bought them. So that's fine. I mean, I paid $75 for that song, but I didn't pay for the exclusive rights for it. So I still feel kind of like, it should be ours. But I went through their YouTube channel. I couldn't find it, though.
It's kind of funny, though, that a commercial is using it, though.
Yeah, some commercials using it, but it's okay. We didn't steal it from them, just so you know. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comment of the week is from the post about Melania ruining the White House Rose Garden that was set up by Jackie Kennedy 60 years ago. You called it the all-white power garden. I like that. That was funny that you wrote that. It's sad, but funny.
I mean, it looks like a cemetery, and they're just white roses and white flowers. It's white power garden.
They ripped out all the trees, too, all the cherry blossom trees. So
Crabapple,
yeah. So we have always called crabapple trees cherry blossom. Is that correct?
No, they're two different kinds of trees, but they just look similar.
Okay. I don't know.
No, they both leave that kind of pale pink petals all over the place.
Oh, okay.
But they are different.
Okay. So Pam Spam wrote, "So much for preserving history. Guess that only counts for statues of awful people."
Yeah, that's a good point.
Bingo.
All right, my comment of the week was from the Mother Pence Got a Makeover. And we've always called her Mother Pence. I actually sometimes forget that her first name is Karen Pence. And we
Karen
do that
and Becki.
because, yeah, we've been talking about Karens and Beckys all freaking day. But yeah, like, I honestly forget what Karen Pence looks like most of the time.
Yeah, because she's never around.
She's never around. She's never doing big events or anything like that.
Towel charms.
And so when I saw the photos of her at the Republican National Convention, I was like, who the fuck is that? But so she did get a makeover. But anyway, we call her Mother because her husband calls her that. And so we call her Mother Pence and we call him Mike Pence. We call him Mother's husband.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for years.
Did you
and
make
it's
that
really
up?
funny.
Because it's clever.
I started calling her Mother Pence all the time whenever I wrote about the Pences. And then someone else called him Mother's husband, and I just adopted it.
Cute. All right. Well, it came from our site, so we own it now.
Trademarked, goddammit.
Mother's husband. We could have novelty products.
So someone, I won't say who, they commented with, I actually think it's demeaning to call her mother. It means her value is solely in the domestic sphere, raising his children.
Oh.
And I'm like, he's the one who calls her mother.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Amy wrote, this is my comment of the week. Amy wrote, of course it's demeaning. That is why her husband calls her that and why she wants him to call her that. It's their culture.
Yes, it is. Exactly.
For some reason, it's their culture. Just cracked me up.
It's their culture.
It's like the culture of Mother Pence, Karen.
Oh, the Republican white vanilla culture.
I mean, it is a good haircut, though. That's the only nice thing.
The color is off.
Oh, the color is terrible.
Yeah.
The side part is good and the cut is good.
Yeah, it's a decent haircut. But her makeup is bad, too. It's like where the other ones are too garish, she went too subtle. She needs a little something on that face.
Well, they went way too light on her makeup and then no lipstick. And yeah, it was just, it was a mess.
Yeah.
She had some straight MAGA stylists working on that one.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches. Fuck the police, especially in Wisconsin.
Yep. Thank you, bitches, and fuck the police.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.